Good day, everyone. We'll be discussing the lesson two of the teacher as an aware of curriculum. Lesson two is all about approaches to school curriculum. Here are the desired learning outcomes. The first one, describe the different approaches to school curriculum. Explain by example how the approaches clarify the definition of curriculum. And the third one is to reflect on how the three approaches in each other with this particular curriculum. A curriculum is as a content or body of knowledge. Again, we will be discussing the three ways of approaching a curriculum. Curriculum as a content or body of knowledge. It is quite common for traditionalists to equate curriculum as a topic outline, subject matter, or concepts to be included in the syllabus or a book. So, na-notice natin kanina, no, sa points of view, no, na discussion natin sa previous lesson, we do have our POVs at traditional and then of course a progressive. And then we noticed that for traditionalists, they equate curriculum as a topic outline. It's more on subjects, it's more on concepts. Okay. For example, primary school mathematics curriculum and then secondary school science. If curriculum is equated as a content, okay, as a content, then the focus will be the body of knowledge to be transmitted to students, okay, using appropriate teaching method. So since we are to share man the knowledge, therefore we also have to look at the appropriate teaching method. And all curricula have content regardless. All curricula have content regardless of their design or models. Okay? So meron talagang content because we have to again, if we're going to look at the three ways of approaching curriculum as a content or body of knowledge. So there must be a content, no, for us to transfer knowledge. Okay? And that will be acquired, no, using appropriate teaching method. There are four ways of presenting the content in the curriculum. Okay, so these are topical approach, where much content is based on knowledge and experiences are included. We also have here the concept approach with fewer topics in clusters around major and sub-concepts and their interaction with relatedness emphasized. Okay. The third one, thematic approach as a combination of concepts that develop conceptual structures. And then, of course, the last one, the modular approach that leads to complete units of instruction. So, it's a modular natin. So, these are the ways in presenting the content of your curriculum. Now, when it comes to selecting content, kung ano yung dapat na nasa loob or composition of your content, here are the criteria in the selection of content. Okay. The first one is significance. Significance, when we say significance, it is a content should contribute to ideas, concepts, principles, and generalization that should attain the overall purpose of the curriculum. No? For example, kung feeling natin, no, na sa basic arithmetic, no, kung feeling natin kailangan doon ang concept ng algebra, therefore we have to integrate algebra to our basic arithmetic. But if it's not, so we don't need to include them. Okay, so that is why if you're going to look at the content, for example, of your subject, no, sa biology, chemistry, physics, sa math, sa sibika at kultura, which is very old, the Araling Panlipunan, you would notice na ito lang yung mga topics na pwede, no? And then we notice na okay, this particular topic pala is more focused on this, no? So again, because of the term significance, no, to attain the overall purpose of the curriculum. And then of course, it is significant if content becomes the means, no, of cultivating cognitive, affective, or psychomotor skills. Okay, so that is your significance. Another criteria in selecting your content is validity. Okay. The authenticity of the subject matter forms its validity. Knowledge becomes obsolete, no, with the changing times. No, mahimo gid siyang obsolete. Okay, that is why in in like for example, ang concept ng ano ba sa biology, meron tayong concept doon na the theory of use and disuse, no? Long before that particular theory, acceptable yun kayo na siya, no? Ang theory of use and disuse. But then again, because knowledge is not actually changing, but knowledge is dynamic, no? Nag-upgrade siya, no? Because of experiments and research done, the theory now is not so common. So sa mga libro, even in elementary or basic education. Okay? Again, knowledge becomes obsolete with the changing times. That is why we have to change it. We have to fact check so that we can say that that particular content is authentic and valid for this time. Okay. Another criterion is utility. Okay? Usefulness of the content in the curriculum is relative to the learners who are going to use this. For example, ang basic arithmetic, hindi natin siya pwedeng ibigay pa rin sa high school. Okay? So nag-grade 7 na lang, nag-basic arithmetic pa rin tayo. Okay? So meaning to say, the utilization of that, the appropriateness of utilizing this particular subject or content is not appropriate anymore. If it is not appropriate to the one who are to use that particular topic or content, uh, na bypass or na violate natin tong concept ng utility. Okay. And then of course, utility can be relative to time. Okay? Siyempre, baka ang mga bata during this time, no, that is why we really have to change our curriculum because might as well itong tinatawag nating concept is not anymore for them. No, like for example, yung arithmetic natin parang nilagay natin siya sa basic education from grades 1 to 6. Baka ngayon hindi na kailangan. Baka this time yung arithmetic pwede na lang sa grades 1 to 3. At saka ibang level naman yung 4 to 6 for example. Okay, so that is utility. Another criterion is what we call learnability. So this is the complexity of the content should be within the range of experiences of the learners. Nakadepende din, no? Although nag-addition ka diri, no? For example, your topic is on addition sa grade 1, addition lang kag 1 digit. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 3, okay? Now the complexity, it will increase, no? It actually increases as you go up to the ladder. Like for example, baka pag grade 2 na natin, doon na tayo mag-add ng 3 digits, no? 365 plus 140, yung mga ganon. Okay, so the complexity of the content should be within the range of experiences of the learners. Dapat talaga ang focus ng ating, when we are to construct our curriculum or what I mean, the content, the focus is of course our students or the learners. Appropriate organization of content standards and sequencing of contents are two basic principles, no, that would influence learnability. This one is very important concept, no, sa curriculum making, no. When I had my experience, no, on revising a curriculum, no, for BS and biology, dito ko talaga na realize, and then of course na-realize na the essentiality of sequencing, the proper arrangement of subjects or content sa curriculum. Okay. Next we have is feasibility and interest. Okay. Feasibility, I think the perfect synonym for that is ang possibility, hindi naman possibility, but attainability. No? If that particular content is feasible to the learners and of course to the resources that we have. No? And then of course, interest. No? Kailangan din natin yan. If for example, I think we had from my previous school, ang ginawa na ng kanilang school, no, because that is a science high school, parang since bago pa lang, so they are still conceptualizing kung ano yung gusto maging focus nila pagdating ng grades 11 and 12. Okay? So they look into the interest of the students at the same time. Ang interest kasi natin, nagagaling din yan kung saang locality ka. Okay? So parang ganyan. So they have this survey and then they look into it and then they found out that okay, these are the things na parang interesado yung mga estudyante natin to learn. Okay. So yan yung nilagay nila. Okay? Of course, again, nagmamatter din yan if it is feasible, no? Baka gusto ng mga estudyante na more on microbiology, pero yung school hindi kaya because of the facilities. So that is the concept of feasibility. Okay. Another we have is the guide in the selection of the content in the curriculum. Let's try to look at, here's the guide. The first one, commonly used in the daily life. So, especially now in our ano ba, new curriculum for the basic education, we actually wanted we emphasized to future teachers that when you are to construct activities or contents of whatever it is that is common to daily life, so that students will be motivated and first for the students to be interested in the topic, and then, of course, they will be motivated. The second one is appropriate to the maturity levels and abilities of the learners. Again, we have to know the abilities, and then, of course, the level of maturity of our learners. This is actually the nice thing of the K-12 program, because by the time they reach college, they are now, we can say, psychologically speaking, they are now mature. No? Kasi nga, nagdagdag tayo ng 2 years. No? Hindi kagaya nung dati na pagka mag-college ka, you are 16 years old, napakabata pa. No? So when you graduated sa high school, 18 ka na. So at least that's better compared to 16. Number three, valuable in meeting the needs and competencies of the future career. Of course, we're trying to look at the contents, if those contents are necessary for the future career. Like for example, for LEP, ang PRC ngayon, they mentioned that for those old curriculum na education levels, they really have to take the board exam for this year, because next year the arrangement, or the TOS, the table of specifications for the licensure examination for teachers, will be changed, no? Kasi nga nagbago yung curriculum natin sa tertiary level. So, yun nga, dapat ma-emphasize yan, kasi meron ng mga topics noon na wala na ngayon, no? I will give you an example for the BS and Sciences. For that shed, BS and Sciences na lang, wala na yung naka-major na BS in Biology, Chemistry, Physics, BS in General Science. So nagiging BS in Science na lang. Na-integrate na doon yung Earth Science, yung Biological Sciences, nandun na yung Physical Sciences na Chemistry, and then yung Physics at the same time. So nandun na siya. And then, you will see really, na you can see that meron talaga mga topics, no, mga contents na tinanggal. Okay. You can actually compare it sa new and old curriculum. That is why we have to change. We make sure that the contents included, they can actually help the future career of our learners. Number four, related to other subject fields, or complementation and integration. This is very nice, no? We make sure kasi that our subjects, they are interrelated with each other, no? To each other, sorry. Okay. Kaya nga parang sinusulong nila yung tinatawag na collaboration when it comes to projects, no? Kasi nga interrelated na kasi yung mga subjects daw natin, no? We can actually connect IT. Now, for example, if you have the subject on IT and then in English, no? Or English and then writing research paper in science, for example, or calculations in mathematics to history, for example. So you can have that. Okay. And then, of course, important in the transfer of learning to other discipline. Okay, kasi nga, since we make sure naman that we have to make sure as teachers, for example, that this particular topic or content can be related to another field or discipline. Okay, because we make sure kasi na merong interrelatedness yung mga contents across. See, I hope that is clear, no? Now let's try to look at here the organizational dimensions in classroom design. This is what I love, no, because again, I had my experience on revising a curriculum, and actually apply good nato ni siya. Okay. So for organizational dimensions in curriculum design, we have horizontal organization. So let's try to have what is really a horizontal organization. Blends curriculum elements. For example, combining world history, geography, and political science content to create a contemporary world issues. Okay? Or another is MAPE. Meron tayong subjects na mapin, nandun yung music, arts, physical education, and health. No? Okay. So that is blends curriculum elements and that is horizontal organization. Okay. So of course, alam naman yung horizontal pag ganyan siya. Okay. And then we also have vertical organization. Again, this is organizational dimensions in curriculum design. So you can actually have your content in a horizontal organization manner. You can have that. No? Marami tayo dyan. I think meron pa tayo, ano pa ba? Araling panlipunan, parang ganyan, no? Yung sa araling panlipunan, meron pa yung economics, no, na kasali. So that is actually part of horizontal organization. Kasi sa araling panlipunan natin, nandun yung Philippine Studies, nandun yung sa Asian, and then world history, and then meron pa yung economics, no? To make up your araling panlipunan. So you can have that as an example of horizontal organization. We also have vertical organization. When we say vertical, pag ganyan siya, no? Sequencing of curriculum elements. Like for example, Philippine History for grade 7. Philippine History ang grade 7, ang grade 8 kaya dito sa Asian History, dito ka sa grade 9 ang world, no? And then paabot dito na, and so on. So sequencing of curriculum elements. Or we can have that, for example, we have earth science sa grade 7, pag grade 8 biology, pag grade 9 chemistry, pag grade 10 physics. Yan yung parang naging arrangement, sequencing of curriculum elements, correct? Okay. Another is the basic principles. I hope you understand horizontal organization and vertical organization. The next one is, again, this is still part of the three ways of approaching a curriculum. We have here basic principles of curriculum content. Di ba? Nandun pa tayo sa content or doon pa tayo sa first part. Okay, first way. No? So in 1852, Palma proposed the principle of basic as a guide in addressing content in the curriculum. Basic here is actually a term also that is an acronym. Okay, so in organizing content or putting together subject matter, these principles are useful as a guide. So when we say basic, that is B for balance, A for articulation, S for sequence, I, integration, and C for continuity. Okay, so that is basic. No? Balance, articulation, sequence, integrity, and of course we have in continuity. Okay, now let's try to look at the first one. We have here balance. No? Okay, so for letter B, balance, content should be fairly distributed in depth and variation. At saka tama naman talaga. Okay? So dapat fair, no? Especially when we are to look at the abilities and then the maturity levels of our learners. This particular principle is very important, the balance thing. Content should be fairly distributed in depth and in breadth. No? The second one is letter A, that is articulation. So as the content uh, complexity progresses with the education levels, vertically or horizontally, yung kanina, okay, across the same discipline, connections or bridging should be provided. So meron talaga dapat transition. No? When you are to arrange everything, like for example, if among the sciences no, mentioned, earth science, biology, chemistry, physics, if you think that earth science should be placed no, sa grade 7 because biology, chemistry, and physics requires knowledge about earth science, okay, be it. We have to place earth science at grade 7. But if we think physics is necessary now first, so we have to place physics at grade 7. So meron talagang particular arrangement. So that arrangement, no, said arrangement, hindi siya ginawa for the sake na nilagay lang dyan. Okay? Meron talagang reason bakit nauna ang particular what that certain subject and then naging last ito na subject. Okay? So that is articulation. Articulation means to say we talk about here the complexity no, vertically or horizontally. The next one we have is all about sequence now. The logical arrangement. The logical arrangement of the content refers to sequence or order. So ibig sabihin, we're talking about vertically or horizontally. Okay, so when we say vertically, deepening the content, no, you notice the example kanina, no? Yung nanggaling tayo sa Philippine history, okay? And then vertically ha, and then grade 8 nag Asian studies or Asian history, world, and then so on. Okay, but horizontally broadening the same content. No, so for example, in English, for example, ang nangyari diyan, meron tayong nanggaling sa reading, meron tayong comprehension, and then grammar, for example. Okay, so that is horizontally and vertically sequence. So a sequence concerned with the order of topics over time. So that is when we say concerned with the order of topics over time, that is vertical dimension. No? So based on Piaget's cognitive development stages, student stages of thinking, current research on brain development. Okay, sabi niya kasi that since this, when it comes to cognitive development stages, meron talagang brain capacity for grade 7. Yan lang siya. For grade 8, ganito naman. Meaning to say, we cannot place calculus sa grade 7 kasi nga, maang siyang bata, no? Parang, according to the idea of Piaget, parang the cognitive development of that particular age, no, grade level, hindi pa appropriate for that high level of mathematical skill. Okay. Now another is Smith Stanby and Shores, 1973, introduced four principles in sequencing content. The first one is simple to complex. So sequence proceeding from simple subordered components to complex components, from easy or concrete content to more difficult or abstract content. So yun siya. So from simple to complex ang arrangement daw. No? First, pwede natin yung gawin na principle. So kung gusto ba natin na dito muna tayo sa simple. So feeling ni mo na simple ang earth science, so ilagay natin ang earth science sa pinakaunahan. Feeling natin ang physics yung pinaka parang difficult, okay, we place physics at the last line. Okay. Next, prerequisite learning. Prerequisite learning is very important, no? Especially when you're taking up courses, technical courses. So similar to part-to-whole learning, bits of info must be grasped before other bits can be comprehended. Okay, we cannot understand algebra if you don't have any knowledge about basic arithmetic. You cannot understand trigonometry if you don't have any knowledge about algebra. And of course, technically speaking, you cannot understand calculus if you don't have the idea, any idea about trigonometry. Okay, so that is prerequisite learning. Okay. Another thing we have is a whole to part learning. Whole to part learning. So curriculum is arranged so that content or experience is first presented in an overview. No? Meron tayo dyan. For example, meron tayong subject na yan na, ano ba, um, physical science, earth and physical science. Parang ganun. Okay. So parang combination na siya ng lahat, no? Okay. Or earth science. If you are major in general science, no, sa old curriculum before sa previous university ko, general science, ang unang topic talaga nila is all about earth science. So of course, earth science, andun na yung meteorology, environmental science, andun na yung astronomy, and so on. Okay? That is whole to part. And then later part, sa next semester nila, doon na magsisimula na ma-chop-chop na yun siya. Okay? So for example, din sa biology, meron kaming Bio 101 that is parang introductory part. Dahil sa Bio 102, nandun na yung na-chop-chop na siya, no? Animal biology, plant biology, and so on. Okay, that is whole to part learning. Okay, you can have that arrangement. Last principle in sequencing content we have is the chronological learning. So content to sequence reflects the times, no, of the occurrences. For example, or that is history, political science. You can have that chronological learning. Okay. Next we have is the scope. So it refers to the breadth and depth of curriculum content at any level or at any given time. So consisting of all the contents, topics, learning experiences, and organizing threads comprising the educational plan. All types of educational experiences constructed to involve students in learning are part of the scope. It refers to the curriculum's horizontal dimension ang scope niya. Okay. So kanina, ang tinatawag naman natin is a vertical dimension. Okay? That is for the sequence. Okay? Scope naman refers to the breadth and depth of curriculum, that is horizontal dimension. Okay. Next, Sa basic natin is letter I, that is integration. Content in the curriculum does not stand alone or in isolation, and that is true. No? So it has some ways of relatedness or connectedness to other contents, and that is again true. Like especially now, we are actually promoting interrelatedness, no? Sa ating parang tinatawag ng multidisciplinary, kumbaga. I don't know if that is appropriate, but the interrelatedness of topics should be emphasized and should be encouraged, no? Next letter, the C of your basic, the term continuity. Content when viewed as a curriculum should continuously flow as it was before, no? So, dapat where it will be in the future, constant reinforcement and enhancement of content. So, there is continuity. No? Hindi pwedeng mag-stop lang kay merong mga problems, no? Especially the implementation of the K-12 program. Unang implementation pala, ang dami ng reklamo, no? And then there are a lot of problems na nakita. But then again, um, meron na namang pag-convene na nangyayari and then they enhance now and then naging okay naman yung pag-run ng bagong curriculum natin. Okay? So that is integration and continuity. So again, for the basic principles of curriculum, letter B, no? We have letter A, else, I, and of course we have C. Basic is an acronym. So for continuity, it refers to the smoothness or absence of disruption in the curriculum over time. No? So manifested in Jerome Bruner's notion of the spiral curriculum. Okay. So ang spiral curriculum, which is actually ang term sa atin, spiral approach ang ginamit ng K-12 curriculum. No? So curriculum should be organized according to the interrelationships among the basic ideas and structures of each major discipline. Okay. So for students to understand these ideas and structures, they should be developed and redeveloped in a particular fashion in increasing depth and breadth. And that is why ang ginawa natin, nandun na yung earth science, physics, chemistry, biology sa isang science natin sa basic education. Yung nagbabago lang yung level, no? Parang merong concept ng cell sa grade 7, may cell din na topic sa grade 8, 9, and 10. Pero if you're going to look at yung objectives, no, nagbabago siya, no? Bumibigat lalo, no? Pag if the year level increases. Okay? So that is continuity, no? This is actually based on the notion of Jerome Bruner's of the spiral curriculum. So another way of approaching a curriculum is curriculum as a process. So curriculum is not seen as a physical thing or a noun, but as a verb or an action. Okay? Kasi nga, if we're going to look at curriculum here, we're talking about process kasi. No? Lahat, everything, process. So then, hindi siya maging noun, but as a verb, no, or an action. So curriculum happens in the classroom as the questions asked by the teacher and the learning activities engaged in by students. So curriculum happens in the classroom. Like for example, the teacher asked question and then the students responded, or the teacher give an activity and then students are engaged with the activity, and that is curriculum. Yeah. While content provides materials on what to teach, the process provides curriculum on how to teach the content. Okay? So again, while content here provides materials kung ano yung ituturo, yung curriculum naman as a process provides here how to teach the content. No? That is why yung sinabi kanina sa discussion natin, no? Meron doon na appropriate teaching method na kailangan. And of course, the intersection of the content and process is what we call the pedagogical content knowledge or PCK. Okay, so this is now a matter of what to teach and how to teach the subject. Okay, that's PCK, the pedagogical content knowledge. So when curriculum is approached as a process, guiding principles are presented. Okay, process man ka. So the first one, curriculum process in the form of teaching methods or strategies are means to achieve the end. Okay, pero talaga no, kasi process man, paano. So we are talking about here methods and strategies. The second one, there is no single best process or method. No? Kasi nga, it boils down to how to teach the subject. And in teaching a particular content or subject, wala talagang specific or best no strategy. No? Alam natin yan, basic knowledge that we don't have the concept of best method, best teaching method or best strategy. Meron tayong tinatawag na appropriate teaching method and appropriate strategy. Yun lang siya. So its effectiveness will depend on the desired learning outcomes, the learner, support materials, and of course the teacher. Curriculum process should stimulate the learners no, to develop the cognitive affective psychomotor domain of the individual. Okay, so that is for the process, curriculum as process. Next, number 4, in the choice of methods, learning and teaching styles should be considered. Of course, no, alam natin na again, when we are to imagine the things that we are to do inside the classroom, we have to think first our learners, no? Kasi sa learners natin babasihin kung ano yung strategy na gagamitin, ano yung methods na gagamitin. Number 5, every method or process should result to learning outcomes which can be discovered or can be described as cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. That's the main goal. No? That's the reason why we really have to choose our appropriate methods and teaching strategies because we wanted na that would be a result of a learning outcomes. No? Merong learning outcomes, kumbaga, meron tayong makikitang learning outcomes. Okay. And that learning outcomes can be described as either cognitive, affective, or psychomotor. Next, number 6, flexibility in the use of process or methods should be considered. And effective process will always result to, of course, better outcomes. No? Kung feeling natin, pag nakuha natin yung tinatawag natin na effective process or appropriate process, as we say, we expect a better result or a nice outcome. And then and both teaching and learning are the two important processes in the implementation of the curriculum because we can say, we can actually tell na teachers are the implementers, no? The teachers and students are the end users of your curriculum. Kaya meron talagang a very important, essential, what do you call this? Essential role ang teachers and of course our students in our curriculum. Okay, so those are the principles, the guiding principles when we are to think curriculum as a process. Next, the last way of approaching a curriculum is curriculum as a product. So product is what the students desire to achieve as a learning outcome. That is why it's very important as much as possible, no? And of course, meron naman talagang times na parang nalilimutan talaga ng teacher, no? Na i-project yung learning outcomes or learning objectives of that lesson. Okay. So product is what the students desire to achieve as a learning outcome. Okay. So that is why we really have to make sure na alam ng estudyante natin kung ano yung ang mangyayari at the end of the discussion. The product from the curriculum is a student equipped with the knowledge, skills, and values to function effectively and efficiently. Again, our purpose here, the product, why we have to choose particular or appropriate methods and strategies in delivering the content, because we wanted our students to be equipped with knowledge and skills and values to function effectively and efficiently in the society. No? And then, of course, the last one, the real purpose of education is to bring about the significant changes in students' pattern of behavior. That's our goal. No? Kasi nga, di ba, our definition of of learning is a change of behavior. So if there is a significant change in behavior, that is actually learning. And that is the purpose of education. Okay? I hope that is clear to everyone. Again, the three ways of approaching curriculum, we have curriculum as a body or content, no? Curriculum as a process, and the last one is curriculum as a product. Okay, now let's proceed to lesson 3. Lesson 3 is curriculum development processes and models, no? Because we mentioned about how we deal with now the approaches, no, in dealing the curriculum. Now let's try to look at the different processes and models of your curriculum development. So here are the desired learning outcome. I think this we only have one to this is to explain and summarize the curriculum development process and models. So how to develop a curriculum. Okay. The first process is what we call curriculum planning. That is, I think, this is very imperative, no? Na before we create, no, before we develop, we use the term develop. Before we develop a certain curriculum, we have to make sure that uh, there is a plan muna. So ano bang mangyayari sa planning? No? So we have to consider the school vision, and goals. As I've been telling you, that our curriculum is not just a a skeleton. No, there has to be reasons, no, why we have to develop our curriculum. What I mean, we have to develop a curriculum. We have to create a curriculum. Okay, so we have to consider the school vision, mission, and goals. That is why, if we're going to compare curriculum, no, curriculum sa St. Michael's College in Iligan City and Iligan City National High School, they have different school vision, mission, and goals. And then if you're going to look at their VMGO, you would also notice that the pattern of their subjects are also different. No? For St. Michael's College, they have these subjects for religion, but for Iligan City National High School, they don't have. Mga ganyan. Okay? So we have to go back because meron talagang backbone, yung tinatawag nating curriculum, meron siyang reason. It includes the philosophy or strong education belief of the school. No? Kung again, sabi ko kanina that when you are to develop a curriculum, meron talaga siyang philosophical basis or meron talagang kung ano man yung belief ng school. So, yan yung ugat ng development, curriculum development. Okay, so when it comes to planning, okay, and of course, it will be translated to a classroom learning outcomes for the learners. So if that particular um, if that particular school believes that agriculture is very important in the country, therefore the curriculum should focus more on agriculture, ganyan. And then we have to translate it to classroom learning outcomes for the learners. Okay. Next is the curriculum designing. So right after planning, ang planning natin doon yung sa mga uh, ano pa lang, no, yung pagtingin ko ano yung kailangan, no. You go back to vision, mission, goals, and then of course the philosophical views ko ano yung gusto niyo i-focus. Then the next one is to design now your curriculum. The way curriculum is conceptualized, the way curriculum is conceptualized to include the selection an organization of content, selection organization of learning experience or activities, and the selection of the assessment procedure and tools to measure achieved learning outcomes. So, ano yung magiging design? No? Of course, gusto mo ba na merong objectives na nakalagay, and then right after sa objectives may content dyan, kung ano yung gagamiting tools, at saka ano yung magiging references, kumbaga. So, nakadepende, no? That's curriculum designing. And it also includes the resources and the intended outcomes, no? And dyan na siya ilagay sa tinatawag natin na curriculum design. So you are now designing the curriculum in such a manner that kung ano yung gusto mong i-include. No? Next is the curriculum implementing. Putting into action the plan which is based on the curriculum design in the classroom setting or the learning environment. And during this time sa curriculum implementation, malaki ang role ng teacher. So it involves the activities that transpire in every teacher's classroom where learning becomes an active process. Okay. So di ba that is curriculum implementing. The next part is curriculum evaluating. So ito yung mangyayari talaga, especially now sa bagong curriculum ng education. After this time, we really have to re-evaluate or evaluate the curriculum if the curriculum is effective or not. No? So that's why after may mag-graduate ngayon sa bagong curriculum natin, I think we have to wait for 2 years and then we evaluate. During that time, we have to evaluate the curriculum. Okay. Because right after 2 years or after some time, pwede man tayong what do you call this, mag-curriculum revision, no? After 2 years, for example. Okay. So determines the extent to which the desired outcomes have been achieved. This procedure is ongoing, as in finding out the progress of learning or the mastery of learning, and that is for summative. No? The result of evaluation is very important for making of curriculum planners, no? Decision making, sorry, for decision making of curriculum planners and implementors. So let's see, no, because as of the moment, sa department namin, sa Department of Secondary Teaching, meron ng mga nag-signify na program advisors na they really wanted to revise their curriculum, no? Kung pwede na. Okay. So, pero kasi sila nakita, no, na hindi pwede or mas pwede ito or ang arrangement and so on. Okay. Now, let's proceed to where we are just talking about the curriculum development process. No? Now we will be talking about the different models naman. No? Curriculum development process models. And this one, if you're going to develop a curriculum, you really have to pattern it in a particular manner. So we are to use process models. Okay. So any significant change, specifically the society system, always requires a model. No? Kung ano yung maging kailangan. Like for example, sabi nga nila, parang ang hina ng mga bata sa reading, sa science and math. So ano kayo mangyayari? So we have to look for a model that will effectively, no, change that result. Ano siya. So according to Henson 2009, defines it as a set of logical relationships, either qualitative or quantitative, that will link together the relevant features of the reality. Okay. So of course, ang tinitinan talaga natin dito ang reality because again, why we are developing our curriculum well because we wanted to our students to be changed. Meron talaga significant change of behavior because again, they are for them to be effectively and efficient sa society. Okay. Models are used to represent events and event interactions in a highly compact and illustrative manner. So parang guide talaga natin yung tinatawag nating models. So remember, a model is not reality. Of course, it's not a reality. It is like a painting, no, or a visual or written description of someone's perception. The model is intended to be a tool or thinking. No? Hindi siya pwedeng maging ano ba, as soul na basihan, no? Ang sabi nga, para talang hindi siya reality because we everything out there cannot be implemented, no? It's just that it based on your definition, ano kayong mangyayari, no? Kung babasihan natin itong model. Okay. So models assist us to organize what we already know. They help us new relationships and keep us from being amazed by complexity of the subject. Okay. Of course, the complexity of subject will be reduced because there is what we call process models. No, meron talaga siyang proseso. And then this particular would be can be checked and then before proceeding to another, something like that. Okay. So at present, there is no adequate theory of education. Tama yan, no? Actually, ulit-ulit lang yung nalaman natin na behaviorism. But technically speaking, if you're going to look at, there's no, there's a lack of theory of education that really focuses on the education side, not on anything else. Kaya parang, most of the time, parang side bit lang yung education, no? Curriculum theory is sub-theory of educational theory, and curriculum models represent curriculum, no, that will it follows then, so that no curriculum model can be used or can be subjected to other thing, no. So we have here that particular model. Okay. The aim model. So it starts with objectives and moves in a single direction lang siya. If we're going to look at, no? It consists of both student activities and teacher activities. May activities na talaga siya. But no foundation elements and no philosophy statement. If you're going to look at the model, it starts with objectives. Okay. Okay. Next is the Hilda Tabas inverted model starts in the classroom with the teacher as differentiated with other models. So, iba si Hilda Taba. But I think Hilda Taba was being used in was Hilda Taba's inverted model is actually being used in some other places now. So step one, diagnosing needs using a needs assessment tool. Step two, formulating specific objectives. Step three, selecting content with a rationale to support each choice. Step four, organizing the content, beginning with a simple topic. So merong particular reason is inverted, no? And then again, if we're going to look at start in the classroom with a teacher, no, as differentiated with other models. Okay. Okay, so nag-start siya sa teacher, then right after that, uh, differentiated with other models siya. Another we have is from Ralph Tyler's and needs model. Start by deciding what purposes the curriculum is to have and then plan accordingly. Okay. So please make sure, no, that we have to make sure na meron talagang particular purpose yung curriculum development natin, no? Because again, we are, I believe na we are more guided if there is a purpose, no? Okay. So several ends, goals, objectives, and purposes be identified by examining. Okay, for Tyler's model shows that in curriculum development, the following considerations should be made. First, of course, is the purpose of the school, educational experiences related to the purposes. Again, this is for Ralph Tyler and means model. We also have here organization of the experiences. And the last one is the evaluation of the experience. So, yung sinasabing experience dito, lahat na activities that will be experienced by the learners. No? Okay. So that is for Ralph Tyler's ends means model. The next one is the Peter Olivas models. That is very simple, comprehensive, and systematic inclusion of foundation, societal, and student needs. So, maganda din itong kay Peter Oliva because meron talaga siyang foundation, societal, and of course, student needs, which is, I think, very important when you are to develop a curriculum. No, it should really start with the statement of philosophy, the goals, no, the societal, and of course the student needs. Because again, our curriculum is actually based on the needs of the society and of course the students. Okay, so component one, meron tayong component one dito. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no? The component one, curriculum developers state the aims of education and their philosophical and psychological principles. So if we're going to look at the arrows, no, you would notice that component one yan yung nakasaad sa kanya. But for component two, requires an analysis of the needs of the community in which the school is located, the needs of students served. As of course, no, kung titingnan natin, hindi yung if you are schooling, no, if you are schooling in ano siguro sa Marawi, and then you are to check the societal needs sa Makati City, so it's not. So it should be the community in which the school is located. Next, component 3 and 4, specifying goals and objectives based on the specified needs in components 1 and 2. 5, organize and implement the curriculum. No? So kini siya ang component 5. And then of course, we also have here components 6 and 7. An increasing level of specification is sought. No. So a distinction between goals and observations is visually portrayed. So 8, chooses instructional strategies for use with students in the classroom. I think that's very clear. For component 9A and 9B, simultaneously, the curriculum worker initiates the preliminary or final selection of evaluation techniques and implementation of different instructional strategies for component 10. So now let's try to look at the use of the model. The first one, it offers a process for the complete development of a school's curriculum. Now, as I can say, as we say here, the model here is actually perceived as a guide. No? Next, a faculty can focus on the curricular components of the model to make programmatic decisions. This is for components 1 to 5, which is more appropriate, no, for this kind of case. Third one, a faculty can concentrate on the institutional components, which is the 6 and 11. Meron pa siya. Okay. Now let's try to look at the summary of the Oliva model. First, the strength is its exclusion of foundations. No? Tama. And inclusions of societal and student needs, which are also invaluable part of our students. No? Okay. So that's why, no. The nice thing again of the Oliva model because of the inclusion of foundations. Yan siya. Okay. So all of that is the end of lesson 2. So we're done with lesson 1 and 2 for this particular matter. Okay. I think this is 3. Lesson 3 na po pala ito. Okay. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to message sa GC or PM me. Okay. So please wait for your activities. Thank you so much and God bless everyone.